Aisha sat curled up on the couch, her small fingers twisting nervously in her lap. The usual warmth of her home felt distant today. Her mind replayed the video she had seen with her older brother, Ali. It was strange, confusing, and left a heavy feeling in her chest. She had wanted to forget it, but the discomfort lingered. When her mother, Sarah, entered the room and saw her daughter's troubled face, she immediately sensed something was wrong. Sarah sat beside Aisha, gently tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "Sweetheart, you look sad. What's wrong?" she asked, her voice full of concern. Aisha hesitated, unsure of how to begin. But when she looked into her mother's kind eyes, she felt a little braver. "Mama, I want to tell you something, but I don't know how." Sarah took Aisha's small hands in her own, giving them a comforting squeeze. "You can tell me anything, my love. I'm always here to listen." Encouraged by her mother's words, Aisha took a deep breath and started speaking. Aisha's voice trembled as she recalled the events of the previous day. "Ali Bhai and I were watching TV, and a strange video came on. We didn't understand it, but it made me feel weird and uncomfortable. Ali Bhai said maybe it was for adults, but then we tried to understand it ourselves, and it didn't feel right." She looked down, guilt creeping into her voice. Did I do something wrong? Sarah's warm smile softened, but her grip on Aisha's hand remained firm and reassuring. "No, my love, you didn't do anything wrong," she said gently. "At your age, it's normal to be curious, but not everything we see on a screen is meant for us. Some things are only for adults, and that's okay. You don't have to understand everything right now." Aisha wiped her teary eyes and whispered, "But how will I know when I'm old enough to understand?" Sarah stroked her daughter's hair and replied, "Sweetheart, just like a small child can't understand big math problems, there are things in life that only make sense when you grow up. The important thing is that if anything ever makes you feel uncomfortable, you should talk to me or another adult you trust." Aisha felt a little lighter after hearing her mother's reassuring words. She had feared she had done something wrong, but now she understood that curiosity wasn't a bad thing. It just needed the right guidance. She looked up at her mother hesitantly. "Mama, if something like this happens again, what should I do?" Sarah smiled and squeezed her daughter's hand. "That's a very good question, Aisha. First, if anything feels wrong or confusing, stop watching it immediately. Then, talk to someone who loves you and will listen without being angry, like Mama, Baba, a teacher, or someone you trust." Aisha thought about it for a moment, nodding slowly. It was comforting to know that she had a safe place to ask questions. "So, I can always talk to you?" she asked softly. Sarah's heart swelled with love. "Always, my love. No matter what, you can come to me." Aisha leaned into her mother's arms, feeling safer than she had all day. The next day, Aisha watched as Ali Bhai scrolled through his phone. She thought about what Mama had told her. "Ali Bhai," she said cautiously, "do you think we should have told Mama about the video yesterday?" Ali looked up, surprised by her question. He hesitated before nodding. "Maybe, but I was scared she would be angry." Aisha smiled a little. She wasn't angry at all. She said we didn't do anything wrong, but it's important to talk to her when something feels weird or confusing. Ali Bhai listened carefully. "Really?" he asked, a little relieved. "Then maybe next time we should just ask Mama first." Aisha nodded. "Yes, she said she's always there to listen." They both shared a small, understanding smile. It felt good to know that they weren't alone. Later that night, Sarah and her husband sat together, talking about Aisha's conversation. "I'm so glad she felt safe enough to tell me," Sarah said thoughtfully. "Many children stay silent because they're afraid of being scolded." Her husband nodded. "It's important that they know they can trust us." Sarah looked towards Aisha's bedroom, where she was peacefully asleep. "From now on, I want to make sure our children never feel afraid to ask us questions. We need to talk to them openly about things like internet safety and growing up." Her husband smiled. "That's a promise we'll keep together." And with that, Sarah knew that no matter what, Aisha would always have a safe place to turn to, a home filled with love, trust, and understanding.